Hi, guys. Welcome to It's Just Complicated. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how it's just complicated to maintain a healthy relationship.
So last week we talked about toxic relationship, and so this week we are going to get into healthy relationship. Healthy relationship allows you to be your natural self, and we'll talk about how healthy relationships release dopamine to the brain, which improve mental illnesses and increase happiness. Research shows that healthy relationships involve honesty, trust, respect, open communication between two people. It takes effort to compromise from both sides. It's interesting because every time we get behind this mic, it's a new learning experience for all of us, from the research that we do to what our listeners share. And so, listeners, we're going to get into what a healthy relationship means to us, but first, take a second and pause if you need to. Think about what a healthy relationship means to you. And now I'm bringing it over to the girls. What do you think healthy relationship is?
That's a good question because I don't know if I actually have a full healthy relationship with anyone. But I do think that a healthy relationship is when you feel good being around that person. And this is from friend to family to spouse or significant other. If you feel good after all of the arguing and things, because obviously I think that there's no relationship that's perfect, but if at the end of the day, you put your head on your pillow and you're like, okay with that, like you feel like when I'm around you guys and I leave the room, I don't leave feeling like I was disrespected or that I wasn't heard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard.
Why are you laughing, Jackie? Why are you laughing? We don't have cameras yet, so
Right.
Jackie is laughing quietly.
Like, we just argued last week, and she's like, oh, no. I don't know.
I
know
what I'm saying is overall,
I'm just kidding.
I feel good about being friends with you guys. I feel good about my relationship at home.
Oh, that was funny. No, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. To me, a healthy relationship is relationship, friendship, all of the above, is somewhere where you can walk. If you walk away from them, you feel good. Like, you know, you just kind of feel unstoppable. You put that good upbeat music on and you're just ready to go. Or if you know you're gonna go hang out with that person, you're just like, whoo, I'm ready for my day. Like, you just feel really, really good.
Well,
It's like
That's what, like, when we hang out, when we're, let's hang out. I feel good about it. Like, I'm excited about hanging out because I know it's going to be a good time. And yeah, we're going to sometimes argue and sometimes we'll disagree. But overall, I feel good about it. I actually look forward to going out to eat with you guys. I look forward to spending time with my husband, for example. Like, that's what I meant. Like, obviously, there's going to be days that I can't stand you and I don't want to talk to you. But
So I think this is a little contradicting because you started with saying you don't have any healthy relationships, but you're saying that with us and with whatever, it feels like you have a healthy relationship. So
what I said is I don't know if I have a 100% healthy relationship. Like, I don't have anyone that I can say we get along all the time. We never argue. Like, I feel heard all the time. I don't have that. Because with everybody, like, maybe with Michelle, I don't know if I ever argue with Michelle. So maybe my healthy relationship is Michelle, guys.
She's stonewall. So
top her
it's-
head. It's hard.
It's hard to argue.
We're not going back to the toxic.
We're not going back to toxic. And Jackie, you said that you defended her stonewalling, so you can't call her a stonewaller now. We got to be consistent with our words.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, it is hard to argue with Michelle. It's hard to piss her off. Like, it is. Well,
You guys made
no,
it.
but-
thank Fernanda for that. She built a strong woman, baby. she built a strong woman over the past few years for y'all, for you guys.
Thanks, Fernanda. Thank you.
Say you're welcome.
We give you credit.
You're welcome.
Aw.
Oh, she's bossy.
We'll give credit where credit's due.
So what's a healthy relationship for you?
Miss
Fernanda?
Fernanda.
I think a healthy relationship to me is basically any relationship where I can feel good being myself, period. Like, I think, and that means, like, I can honestly be myself. I can say things, because I feel like, honestly, the older I get, the more different I feel from people, where, like, I'm like, can we just be honest? Can we just tell each other, like, you pissed me off or that didn't work for me? But it's like, no, in this world, it's really hard to everyone's like, no, well, you got to say it there. You can't say it like that. You can't do that. And it's like, if I can't say it like that and I can't do it like that, then I don't feel like I should be in that relationship. Like if I have to be a certain way, but I do understand that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I get that. But like if something bothers me and I can't just be like, hey, when you lied to me last week, I didn't like that. When I can't just say something like that because the person's going to get offended or they're going to get upset or they're going to gaslight me. I'm like, yeah, that's not healthy. So I think a healthy relationship to me is just any relationship that I can literally be myself, say what I have to say, and it be accepted and heard. And it's a conversation. I don't expect them to be like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. I expect them to be like, oh, that hurt your feelings? I didn't know. Well, the reason I said it like that is because that probably shouldn't play the blame game, but it's just a good way to understand each other. To be like, I said it like that because that happened and it's cool. All right, cool. Now we talked about it. It could have took an hour of like us going back and forth. But at the end of it, it's like, all right, cool. I hear you. I'll try to do better. And they're like, well, it just feels nice to just kind of be heard. So I think that's a very big piece of healthy relationships with me because it's easy to like go to dinner and have fun and have above the surface conversations of how life's great and I just did this and yeah, my kids, oh yeah, they're so cool. That's easy. But like it's when it gets hard where it's like, yeah, I don't like that. Or something about this relationship just doesn't feel good anymore. And it's either we're going to talk about it or we're not going to be friends. Because if we can't get through the conversation, then
What's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. If I can't be myself, what's the point? So that's for me.
Yeah. I'll take a little bit of what everybody said. I think I'm 25 and I just started building a healthy relationship when I met my husband. I've dated before, obviously, and I've had friends and even with family, I think the older you get, or at least for me, the older I got, I learned that family is important and that people are different and that some things aren't worth just bickering about, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I think healthy relationships, if I were to have one, which obviously, like I said, I'm starting, but it would be by what you said, being able to be yourself. I'm very big on, I think you guys all know this, being myself, no matter what it takes. And I've hurt a lot of people along the way. And then you get to a point where okay, this isn't working. It needs to change,
I think that's a good point of being yourself and being able to have that same respect and honesty that you have for others for yourself. I feel like a lot of people, it's hard to have, Jackie, you mentioned this the other day. You were Jackie asked a question. She was like, guys, do you think that toxic people attract toxic people? And I was like, 100%. If one person is unhealthy in the relationship and the other person is also unhealthy, you guys might get along on the surface level, but when it comes to really having those conversations that make it hard, if you guys are both getting triggered and but you guys love each other, but you guys can't have a healthy conversation, yeah, toxic and toxic don't work. But if you have one person who's healthy with themselves and can understand that okay, this person is going to trigger me, and I'm going to do my best to really not be triggered, even though it's really a work. It's you have to understand what it feels for you to feel triggered, to then be able to control that in your conversation.
I think healthy also attracts healthy, right? Because I can speak for our friendship. Our friendship, once it crossed the line of respect, we started healthy boundaries, which created a healthy relationship, which now she feels heard. I feel heard. I feel like I can actually tell her how I feel. She tells me how she feels. And maybe we're going to get annoyed at each other. Yes, but take a deep breath and understand that that's just the person's feeling. I need to understand how she feels and kind of sit on it to then react to it.
Yeah, and even then, we'll go on to the next just real quick. I think it's important in this podcast, as we're talking about these conversations, that we can talk about our relationship with each other within it, because then we can use real life examples. So I'm probably going to do that a lot. I know last week I went, hey, I'm on Michelle. This week, no, no, I'm kidding. I didn't even go that hard because the girls didn't let me, but it's fine. For Dunny, I also felt like we were, lately I've been a little bit I I feel distant from everyone here because I felt like we were in a good place, but you mentioned it either on the podcast or like during our conversations before, like I don't know if it was recorded or not, but you mentioned how like you still have a hard time like saying, I don't know, you said something about having a hard time communicating with me, which felt weird for me because I thought we were doing pretty great communication-wise. And then you say, and this is a very important thing, being impeccable with your words, because you got to be careful, because when you say things, and you may not even mean it in a certain way, but the way other person takes it. So yeah, that happened. And so just FYI.
I don't know. We're going to have to revisit that because I don't really remember what I said.
Yeah,
So-
well, just,
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody has a different opinion. Like, I don't even, you started talking, I don't even remember what I wanted to say now. But I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know anymore. Whatever.
All right, moving on. We'll work on our healthy
I
relationship.
can't
Fernanda.
ever finish a sentence without being interrupted. I'm like, yo, like, I let everybody talk. No.
Did I interrupt you?
Yes. And then she starts talking, and then she starts, and I'm like, all right, I don't remember.
Were you talking and I interrupted you, or I interrupted your thought? In your
We're building a
brain?
healthy relationship now, guys. Let's do it.
Whatever.
okay. And so, yeah, it's as you can see, and this is the reality of it. Like, it's literally sometimes it's just like, hold on, what happened? You know what I mean? Like, and that's what relationships are. It's just figuring out like what needs to be done differently, and like you'll see this a lot, and it's part of growing.
Any relationship can be built to a healthy place, though, if you really want to. Like, you guys mentioned, like, we do a self, like, talking about ourselves because it's, our experiences, but, like, we all have really great potential. Home, with our partners, with friends, with family.
Michelle
Like,
the most.
yeah, sure.
You
But-
check our stories on Instagram.
There's
She is the
space.
conceited one.
There's just a space for growth. Like, if you really want a healthy relationship, I think, like, Fernanda's big on self-awareness. That's all it is. I think that's what I wanted to say. I'm self-aware of what I've done wrong, and the more you grow, you realize
It all comes back to you.
it does. So that's what I wanted to say, guys.
Yeah, and
she got her voice heard.
Self-awareness.
There you go. Expressing, communicating, right?
Yeah.
Like, you interrupted me and I wanted to say something and I felt like it was very important, and
And old me would have just been like, yo, Fernanda, can you shut up? Like, I'm talking. And I'm like, no, go ahead. You could talk.
Or she would just walk out.
You can-
she's tried it already. So everything you guys mentioned, doing research kind of hits what healthy relationships are. So according to research, healthy relationship is the mutual respect, right? So respect means that each person values who the other person is and understands the person's boundaries.
This was a perfect example.
Yeah. Trust, giving each other the benefit of the doubt, honesty, compromise, acknowledging different points of view and be willing to give and take. Individuality, and I heard you guys talking about compromising who the other person is and their identity, not like trying to change someone else, right? Healthy relationship is allowing your partner, your friends, your coworkers to be who they are. And obviously not in toxic ways, not in abusive ways, but letting them grow, allowing them to grow, supporting them in that journey. Good communication. Each partner should speak honestly and openly to avoid miscommunication. If one person needs to sort his or her feelings out first before even talking, give them that space. That's called respect. And that comes in, that the communication comes into play. And so they're ready to talk.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
I think that what you just said is a perfect example of why sometimes it's so hard to build a healthy relationship, because you don't know how to be patient and let that person speak their mind before you attack them or like.
You mean like for you, that's the part that's really hard?
Well, I can 100% relate to that, because like me back, I want to say like a year ago, 6 months ago.
Yesterday? I'm just kidding.
Like, I would argue with my husband, and like he's like, bro, like, you don't let me talk. And I'm like, I do it, and I didn't even notice that I'm like talking over you because I want to get my point across so bad, and it's not healthy. So like when we decided to change things up and like, this is going to be healthy, like, you need to let me talk. so like I be biting my tongue. I be trying to eat my nails, but I let him talk.
You know what I learned recently? That when somebody's not listening to me when I'm trying to get my point across, and I just sit there and I say, "You're not listening to me. You are not listening to me."
It's like a
and I
kid.
keep
It's like
repeating
teaching
myself.
a kid.
I'm not gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna keep saying, "You are not listening to me. You are not listening to me." So-
You know why it's like a kid, Jackie?
Yeah.
Because it's your inner child. It's when you were young. It's what you were.
I can't wait to talk about that. Like that's gonna be great.
Yeah, when you were younger, it's how you were trained to react. I was gonna say that's I with my mom. It's an again new thing that's been happening where I'm like I don't feel heard at all, and it makes so much. Everything makes sense now. I'm like, oh, that's why I was always so aggressive with communicating. That's why when people would like talk to me, I've always wanted to like give them opinions and give them solutions because that's exactly what my mom does. But I don't feel heard, and so now I see it, and I'm like, oh, that shit sucks.
And you don't
So-
want to do that to other people.
No, when she
either.
does it to me,
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, you're not listening, and I'm not going to talk to you if this isn't going to be a conversation. If
I
it's-
think I'm a great practice. How do you say it? Kung fala kobaya.
Kobaya.
Yeah, like-
Good word for me.
Experiment.
I'm the experiment. You guys test on. Jackie, you're not listening to me. You're not listening. You're not listening.
Well, with Jackie, what I learned now is that if she's screaming, I'm like, I'm not answering. Because if I say anything back, you're just going to keep screaming. So we'll talk about it tomorrow when you're calmer.
I learned how to. She gets triggered if I hang the phone up on her
Oh,
face.
do not. This, to me, it's disrespect.
That is disrespect.
disrespectful. Because just because you don't want to hear what I'm saying to you and you don't agree with it, you're just going to hang up.
Yeah, because you just but
But then again, I
that-
understand that it's her way of like not triggering
But that's
herself.
not.
no, not
But it's
triggering
not.
you either. Like if, like you said, if we're arguing with somebody and you don't feel hurt, you just that's.
But-
If we're like, what's the point? I'm gonna just hang up.
No, because
you
then
can't
I
say,
feel
hey,
like,
can we talk about this later?
or
I don't
just
feel
saying
good
like,
right now.
yeah, like I just don't want to talk
This is
about
not
it.
working right now. Let's talk about this when we're both calmer.
Yeah,
Right.
see, I gotta work on that. I do it with my parents. I do it with her.
But I've said it to, like, the last time she did it, I
Bye.
called her back. She didn't pick up. This is a little crazy of me, but I called her husband. And I was like,
She
give
always.
her
Oh my god.
the phone. And then he was like, give her the phone. She's going to hear what I have to say now. And all I said to her was, we're not going to argue. Don't hang up the phone on me. Next time we are having a discussion, even if you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, stop me. But don't hang up the phone on me. And then we ended the conversation there. And the next day we talked. That's why I
She
said.
was hugging me the next day.
No, but that's why I said I don't know to what extent they're not healthy relationships because I don't know. I feel like there is no perfect healthy relationship.
You're growing. You're working on it. That's you guys. You guys are working towards a healthy relationship. And I think that's something that gets lost in translation where a healthy relationship is one that you're never going to argue and you're never going to disagree. And that's not true.
Right.
It's the process and the aftermath. If you're going to argue and you don't want to see each other and you don't want to listen to each other, yeah, that's unhealthy. But if you are working, like you called her husband, all right, sis, you crazy, give her a space.
Right.
But
But I felt so triggered when she hung up
Right.
the phone.
That's the part.
But you felt comfortable enough to call her husband because you cared about her, right? Like here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to argue. I want to let you know right now, like you're giving her that safe space. We're not going to argue. Right? Obviously, there's different circumstances, but in that one, you wanted
was
to
setting my
show her,
boundary.
right? But you were also showing her that like we're creating a safe space. And you could have gave her time in that moment. You did it differently,
But she
But
did
then-
what she had to do. You know what I'm saying? Like
but then
she felt.
right. But then you guys got to the point, and hear me out when I say hear me out when I say there is different circumstances and things could have been done differently. So hear me out one more time. The circumstances are always different. Don't be all like
It's not textbook.
blowing up people's phone and acting crazy, because that's crazy. But in that moment, that's what worked. And yes, you could have gave her time and then called in, hey, next time, like, I just want you to know that we're sisters, right? Like, we want to work on this. We want to do things better. We want to communicate better.
I could have blown up her phone until she picked up. Instead, I said, I'm just going to nib it in the butt. Because so I can feel okay. Because I was going to feel triggered at AF if I didn't talk to her.
Right. So thank you for saying that, because a good tool is when you're in that moment and you feel that much emotion and you're triggered right now. Like, I'm acting up right now. You're so angry. You're like, I have to do something. I have to let this out. And in that moment, that's the part where you have to talk to yourself and say, what is this for? Is this for me? Is this going to benefit me, or is this going to benefit the relationship?
My therapist asked me that when I was going through something with one of my aunts, and she said to me, "What is the need? What is your need to feel heard by her? Do you feel like you need to respond to her? If you ignore her, how are you going to feel just ignoring her? What is it that you're feeling right now that's going to make you feel better? Do you feel like you need to write her a paragraph and just say what you're feeling? Or if you just let it go, are you going to be okay with it?" And at that moment, I had to think, like, what is the purpose of me saying what I have to say? If I stay quiet, is it going to affect me? Because that's another thing, too. Like, why, if I keep holding it in, that person's moving on with their day and living their life, and I'm holding this now, and it's hurting me. Right. So sometimes I have to in a respectful way, let it out so that I can be like, you know what? I said my piece. I'm done.
It's not what you say.
It's how you say it. Obviously. So I don't feel like I was disrespectful. Maybe it triggered her because whatever, how she felt. But I got it out. She knows. And now she's aware that when we're having an argument, don't hang up on me. That's all. Yeah. And we move on. Which goes back to where I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, when you feel good about your relationship, I feel like that's a healthy relationship.
Yeah. I think we can wrap up this convo real quick, but I just want to say, yeah, you said what you needed to say, but you also reacted on your own emotion of like, I need to tell her this right now. I'm gonna call her husband. She needs to hear this right now. Like, she could have heard that in that evening. She could have heard it tomorrow. You could have texted her a little bit. I get it, though. It is what it is, and I'm glad it worked out, and you guys, she heard you.
I'm glad it happened. Look at this beautiful conversation.
Right, but what I'm saying is, really, it's in that moment of, like, I have to get it out.
She needed to get she just needed to get her point across.
But also, like, not saying it, like, you're now.
No, I'm saying it,
right,
but
not saying it in the moment. Like you just said to me, I feel like we had a healthy relationship, but now I heard but you didn't speak up the day of in the moment.
So you don't speak up at all.
Now I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, because to me, what I said wasn't impactful, so I don't remember it. It's the saying, who hits doesn't remember, who gets hit is the one that remembers. And it's that kind of like, now for us to go back and talk about it, I don't even know what I said to you that made you feel that way.
Well, two things there is, that's actually one of the points of the podcast. I want us to be able to call each other out in moments, even though it's about us. The podcast is for everyone, but I do want them to see us dealing with our own shit through
real life.
Yeah. But this was like one of the very first podcasts, and I actually was kind of confused, so I had to process it. I'm like, do I even want to say this to her? Is this even worth it?
Should have, because maybe I worded myself in a way that made you feel that way.
Perspective.
I think we have a healthy relationship now. I feel like we can talk, we can express ourselves. And it's maybe sometimes I do say things that I feel like I should reward it, and the words I chose weren't the correct way.
See, but then that's my thing. You guys know me, I'm really big on like
saying be who you are.
Why not be like, you know what, Fernanda? I just said this, but I'm gonna take it back.
No. Like, so I'm gonna tell you why.
No, not taking it back. Like, I worded myself wrong. This is how I could have said it.
I love it. Jackie, I love you. I love you so much.
Oh God, Michelle.
This is so perfect. Last one. Because
she's like grabbing my hand. Like, okay.
I love it. Because that's not fair.
What's the problem though with acknowledging like I worded myself wrong?
It's gather yourself before you communicate. Figure out what it is you want, especially in.
But not everybody has it together. I don't have my shit together.
It's a practice, y'all.
Yeah,
all right, book of the podcast, 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. Okay, I have Jackie. Jackie has my copy.
I started it,
and the first agreement is be impeccable with your words. To others, to yourself. It is not easy. It is hard. It's a practice. I used to talk out my ass.
She still does.
I'm better though.
What
no,
I'm
I
saying
used
is,
to
but-
say crazy shit.
Right,
Now
but you read. Well, let's talk about the people that aren't reading, that don't have access to that book because they don't know about the book, or
it'll be on our
it's
Instagram.
not right. But it's not realistic that everybody is going to be calm and collected.
Well, just
Right.
we'll
so
just-
we have to acknowledge that there are going to be moments, and it's okay for you to take back and say, you know what, I apologize for saying that in the heat of the moment.
Totally okay.
Right.
You know, okay, again, perspectives. Fernanda has worked really hard to get where she's at right now. And so it is a powerful thing to be collected and composed. And it's so much easier to go the nice way about life because think about it, a nice person that, thank you, sorry, a person that when you argue, you guys don't yell at each other versus a person that's aggressive, explosive. Like, it's so much harder to go the mean way. So I get her passion of trying to get it out there, like, guys, there's an easier, nicer way
No,
to
and
do
I think
this.
and I think she should share the knowledge.
And
It's
that's
like-
how I feel because that's me. I'm the mean way. I go the easy route. Like,
You're
I'm gonna punch you in
working.
the face, knock you out, and that's it.
That's it. We ain't talking no more.
And I think that's where Michelle is really good at dealing with Jackie, because she's, even though Jackie's like in a spiral and Michelle is just sitting there like calm and collected, taking deep breaths and saying,
I don't know how you
it's
do it,
okay.
Michelle.
I don't either.
It's okay.
I'm like, yo, Michelle, get her. Go
well,
get her.
because me and Fernanda are people that we want to work it through as we're going.
Yeah.
Michelle is like, let her talk. At the end, I'm just gonna say my piece. Let her reflect on it,
Right.
and then we'll move on.
I have been better. I will give myself credit.
Yeah, no, you've been growing, definitely, but that's true. Michelle is able to recollect and do what she does. I don't
Like
know,
right
her
now, she's
magic.
just listening, and when she does speak, she'll throw the knowledge.
I'll throw the knowledge. Something that came up that you guys were saying is apologizing for making mistakes, and shifting that mindset is also very important, because you want to have healthy relationship with others, but you also want to have healthy relationship with yourselves, and we can't forget that.
Hell
right?
yeah. That's the
We're
most
humans,
important one.
and we make mistakes. It's normal, and we can't sit here and be like, "Oh, we're perfect, and we have the solution for everything."
Did she just say that?
A lot of
sit here and say
people-
we're
Right.
Michelle, this podcast is changing something.
Erase that.
No,
Say that out.
We'll just say that. We're not editing it. It's going up.
Not everyone, but Michelle. Michelle's the only one.
I'm the only one, right? Because
Everyone else,
Wow.
keep working on it.
I got the juice for y'all. Yes. So I'm not gonna apologize that I just messed up, but thank you for being patient with me and hearing me out through my mistakes. And I'm going to correct it. So y'all humans are unfortunately not perfect. I, on the other hand, got
Michelle's
the
a
knowledge for you and how to change your mindset.
Mute her. That's it. Mute her.
Something, a keyword that you guys were saying was apologizing, right, for making mistakes. And we shouldn't apologize for making mistakes, right? Like, let's say, like, I'm sorry for getting emotional, right? Jackie's always emotional. So, like, coming up to us and telling us, I'm so...
a lot.
Yeah.
And this is something that I always tell a lot of kids, too, is don't apologize. Just fix it, right? Just thank me for just being here and allowing you to give you that space, right? So instead of saying I'm sorry for being getting emotional, what are you sorry about? Like, unless you're gonna fix it, like I don't want to hear the apology, and you shouldn't be apologizing because you're human. Like, we make mistakes. So instead, say thank you for giving me a safe space to talk, right? And so just changing these words also help you grow. So being healthy to yourself, allowing yourself to grow, not apologizing for everything, because then that's a negative talk. Because in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm always messing up. But if you just thank that person, just thank you for giving me that space, or thank you for your patience, and just changing the words. And if you don't know, Google.
Okay, can I just bring that comes back to, I'm going to say it one more time, being impeccable with your words. It's not only with others, it's also with yourself. So really figure out, like, even with apologizing, that one it's valuable, but when it's used too much, it loses its meaning.
And if you're just apologizing just because,
Right,
and
so
not
when you're
actually doing anything about it,
So when you're
I don't want your sorries.
when you're impeccable with your words, you'll actually sit and reflect and think, okay, wait, I have to go talk to Dunny right now. And I know I messed up. I did this, whatever I did. Let's say I lied to her and I have to go. Do I want to apologize though? Because I don't know. You really got to think about like, which direction do I want to go in? Right. Because am I going to do something about it? Am I going to fix it? Then sure, I do feel terrible about it. One thing I do love to apologize to people for is how I make them feel.
You shouldn't apologize.
Well, I'm sorry you felt like, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Like I didn't mean to. Like I want to apologize for that. But other than that, like.
It's so crazy that we talk about this because it's like this wide ass spectrum of like, it sounds like you're contradicting yourself, but no, really, you should like you're taking accountability. Like, I am sorry I made you feel that way, and then that person chooses how they're gonna, receive that.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy. I just want to say, like, in therapy, my therapist literally, like, he keeps telling me this every time I go, every week. He's like, your son is not first. Your husband is not first. Your sister, nobody else is first. You are first. Maybe God, depending on what you believe. And then everything else. And I'm like, it's so hard for us to be healthy with ourselves and build a healthy relationship with ourselves and put yourself first because you feel selfish and you feel like, no, like I have, like, I want to use a kid as an example because my kid is like my world. But no, like I have to come first. I have to love myself first. I have to be healthy with myself first. And I just wanted to say that.
It's kind of like in the airplane when something happens.
Oh my God, yes.
You put it on yourself first because you can't help other people if you're not alive. If you are not happy, how are you going to teach your kid to be happy? If you are not patient, how are you going to teach your kids to be happy? If you are not anything you want to be, how are you going to teach your kids to do that? I want to say something. It doesn't have to be right now, but I do want to share an exercise that I learned through my I wouldn't call her my therapist. It was like more of a life coach. She wasn't a therapist, but she changed my life. So
but that's one of the things that I said to my therapist the other day. I said I need to be healthy for me to raise healthy children, for me to continue with a healthy relationship, for me to have healthy people around me. If I'm not healthy with myself, if I don't feel good, I'm just going to spit out everything I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling resentful, if I'm feeling angry, if I'm feeling let down, that's how I'm going to react. Like if I'm having a bad day, everyone around me is going to deal with that Dunny.
Projection.
Right, with the projection, right. I'm literally vomiting everything I'm feeling on everyone around me. And that might make everyone around me not feel good. So I need to be good to be able to attract good.
I agree.
Healthy relationships, that's how they're built.
Yeah.
How do you guys cope with, like, when you guys aren't in, like, how do you guys help yourselves be your best, like, self, your healthy selves? What do you guys do? Basically, like, what is your self-care? And it's okay to not have any, guys. It's okay, let's be honest. What do you guys do for self-care?
Dunny.
I don't know, because I have a really hard time doing anything by myself. Like if I go to the park with my kids, I need to bring somebody with me.
Your nails?
Oh yeah, my nails. This is one thing, like I feel really good when I have my nails done because I feel like I look good, right?
You did something for yourself.
Right, I did something for myself. Although I hate sitting there for 2 hours because I'm very antsy. Like everything I do has to be quick. But that is 2 hours that I sit there that I'm taking care of myself. I've never been the like makeup girl, do my hair girl, all of that. This is one thing that maybe one day I can do, like, but the facial routine that I see everybody doing, it's like, to me, it's for me to sit there for 2 hours and do a facial routine.
No, it doesn't
do
take 2 hours.
Right, but for me, it's like, it's just not me, you know? But I have recently learned that what I enjoy doing is that sometimes coming home and if the kids are napping and Reiki's upstairs, I lay on the couch and I watch something that I enjoy watching. And like, that's my relaxing moment. I'm not good at doing anything by myself.
Reality of life.
That's called
after kids.
Yeah.
You get that little time you have.
You're like, I want to sleep.
I'm going to watch this show and I'm going to fall asleep.
But for me, self-care is kind of like at night, if I can get the girls both to go to bed at the same time and a little earlier, and I can enjoy a movie with Reiki or watch a show with him, because that's something that before we had kids was big. We used to watch a lot of TV together. That is like my feel-good moment. We're relaxing. We're laughing. We're just, I mean, that's what is it called? The thing that goes to your brain,
Dopamine.
dopamine. That to me is like it gives me that dopamine. So I don't think it necessarily has to be something that you do by yourself, as long as something that is making you feel good.
Am I allowed to be the annoying psychologist real quick?
You always are going to be anyway.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes that's
No, go.
supposed to-
No,
This is my perspective of it. It makes me feel good. That's what makes me feel good. Being by myself does not make me feel good.
Yeah.
Going on a walk by myself isn't making. You know what
Right.
I'm gonna do while I'm walking. I'll probably walk for 5 minutes and then I'm gonna call somebody to have a conversation.
Right.
Because that's what makes me feel good.
Right.
So is it? My question to you is: you're gonna say, yeah, you should have your moment by yourself, blah blah blah. But if I'm okay the way if I'm feeling good with the things that I'm doing, do I have to do it by myself? Do I have to have my moment even though I don't want it?
The life is yours. You live it how you want to, but it is important that you're aware that that's codependency. The fact that you don't feel comfortable being in a restaurant by yourself, a walk by yourself. I actually listened to this podcast once and they said, I wish I can give you guys the exact statistics, but the number of people that can't get into their car without turning on music or something to listen to, they cannot sit in silence. It's unhealthy because you're basically running away from your own world, your own thoughts, your own problems. You just don't want to deal with them. So you're like, I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to go hang out with this person. I'm going to talk to that person because that'll keep you away from your inner thoughts.
Can I disagree though? Like
can.
this
I
morning,
can't get in the car without listening to music.
But yeah, this morning I was gonna catch a ride with you, and I decided to drive, and I put on the music that I like listening to, and it made me feel good on the way here, singing out loud. I don't know how to sing, but in my car, nobody's listening. I'm going with
Thank
the lyrics. I'm feeling good. I got here feeling good.
Yeah.
So do I really need to sit through the drive in silence and thinking about all my
You
problems?
don't have to. No, but it's healthy too sometimes. And it's not all the time. It's not every day getting in your car and being completely silent all day, every day. That's not what the point of it is. But it's learn to be, it's just something that, yeah, it's not, you don't care for it. It doesn't feel good because it's uncomfortable for you. That's something that you have not learned to be comfortable with. And it's a challenge, basically. You don't have to do it, but it is something that you should be aware, like, oh my God, I really just need someone with me to go everywhere. Like, I really... I can't be 5 minutes. Like today, I'm going to go to a park and I'm going to do it the whole time for 30 minutes by myself. And I'm going to challenge myself to not get distracted with anything else. It's a challenge and it's not something you have to do. It's your life. But I do think self-care comes from that time that you have away from everything else in your world. It's like put a bubble around yourself and say like, okay, I'm going to take the next hour to not be bothered by anything in this world but myself. Like I am gonna hang out with myself.
It's impossible when you have kids.
Can I say
30
something?
minutes.
I think, and I'm gonna say this. I don't want you to feel offended, but I think it's easier.
I'm offended for. I'm just kidding.
I think it's easier for you to, Michelle. What's going on, Michelle? Oh, I think it's easier for you to see that perspective of because. Think about it. You didn't have siblings growing up, right? And this always comes back to the codependency and it's so much harder to break out of it once you're grown. When you had that your whole life. Like, I'm the perfect example. Like, we've been trying to, like, give each other space. And, like, you do your thing with your kids. I do my thing. On my days off, I do my thing. And I go to the park with Lucas sometimes. And I'm like, damn, I wish Ella was here. I wish my sister was here. I'm still doing it. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, they could have been here right now.
Well, you're not being present.
I am. I'm just in the back of my mind when I stop to think. I don't think that's necessarily not being present. I think it's just I wish that, yeah, we had a good day, but they could have been here. And that's part of the codependency that I totally get what you're talking about. I just think that realistically speaking, it is so hard to break away from that when that's
saying
all
any
you've
of this
known
is
your whole
easy.
life.
Do you have, Michelle, anything that you do by yourself?
Let's
No,
go.
because I want to get, like, because I feel like Fernanda's really good about doing things by herself, but does everybody?
I'm good.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
just want to
question.
say before Michelle even, I do have the music. I never get in my car without music. I had to drive yesterday. I got a new phone and I had to drive for 5 minutes to my house with no music, and I almost went crazy.
Turn on the
Also,
radio,
guys.
Jackie? Okay, anyways, Michelle.
Like, I am moved through music, but go ahead, Michelle.
So I hear all of you guys.
Can't relate.
She's perfect.
Can't relate to any of you. No. I feel like I do a lot. Like I keep myself busy. I keep especially my kids busy. But yeah, I do have my moments where I'm like, I just need silence. Turn off. Like, especially during the week, my week is hectic. Like I don't stop. Sunday to Sunday. Like I don't get breaks. But every 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes that I can get a break to sit in silence and just look at the clouds, look at the streets. I just do it because
Fernanda loves that.
my life is so busy.
Yeah.
2 things. I'm going to go back to Michelle because I want to bring up something that we talked about like 3 months ago, I think. But talking about just looking at the clouds, looking at the streets, I went hiking with Anna, my cousin, once, and we were sitting there, and she said, okay, Fernanda, for the next 5 minutes, we're going to look at the waterfall, and we're not going to talk to each other. We're just going to stare at it. For 5 minutes, I'll let you know when it's done. And we literally just stared at the waterfall for 5 minutes, and it was insane. Just like after the 5 minutes, I just felt like I was on a cloud, like floating. And she was trying to show me what being present meant. It means like you are here. Nothing else is here. And every time thoughts come in, that's part of meditation. Thoughts come in, and you're supposed to just kind of like shift them off and whatever. But it was just insane. It was such a good experience. Everyone try that. If you're ever anywhere, just stare at something for like 5 minutes without distractions. Crazy. Okay. Michelle, 3 months ago, you were telling me, we were talking, this is probably one of the last times we actually had a decent conversation. She was telling me how she feels like she doesn't know or have self-care. Like she's like, I feel like I want it, but I don't know what it is or how to do it. So we were just talking about it. So can you give us an update on how that was and where you are today, 3 months from now?
Self-care.
Do you remember that
a lot
combo?
has changed. I feel like I do. I literally was a whole different person to myself.
3 months ago?
I think so. I believe so.
I'm like, I wasn't as perfect.
I travel a lot now. I do my face.
Comes back from a trip, doesn't know how to act.
It's actually nice seeing her enjoying a trip so much.
Facts. This is probably the most I've ever traveled this year has been. And I think and this is something also I feel like we should talk about throughout the next few episodes is life after COVID. That was very eye-opening for me. I went through a very tough patch, and I'm still getting over it. But I'm doing things that I love, you know, and I'm keeping the things that I love. I'm still doing it. Like I'm not just giving up on it because life just sucks. I just keep doing it. So self-care, that quiet time. I'm trying to teach my kids that too. Just like sitting and just
being bored is okay.
And just enjoying that moment for myself. Volleyball.
Yeah, but see,
I get my face
it's
done.
not by herself.
I do my face. I look at myself in the mirror, you know, acknowledge that we're getting older. I see my wrinkles and I'm acknowledging it, and I'm making myself feel comfortable in this new skin that I'm growing into every single day.
Wow.
Making sure that
that is beautiful.
Making sure that I go to sleep on time. I wake up early and I stretch my body for like, even if it's just a minute in my bed, just like stretch. And then I get up and I make my kids like snacks in the morning, and I have a whole routine. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not gonna say 5 because people are gonna call me out. 5:30 in the morning.
Wow, half an hour.
Yeah, take my dogs out, make breakfast. I do my face, you know, vitamin C oil, like all that nice stuff. I don't really put makeup on. I only do.
If y'all met Michelle 2 years ago, this would have not been it, guys.
I mean, 3 months ago, she was like, I don't know what it is. What is self-care?
I'm a whole new person reading books.
Style concept.
yeah.
She is stylish. I think we all talk about this all the time, how she used to dress really weirdly in the past, and now you're killing it.
Why are you being nice, Fernanda?
My face is always cute, though, so it didn't really matter what I put on.
She's doing it good now.
What else?
I think those are all really good examples of doing things that
Managing
make
time.
you feel good for yourself. And it's, I know what I've done. I'm trying to like help because I know you're like, but I do feel good when I talk to other people.
Let me
No,
let
'cause, like-
me say something. Let me chime in. Because she first of all, hold on. Let me go back to what I was trying to finish saying. Managing my time, work life and home
Oh, yeah, she
life.
posted about
I don't
this.
take
She did
I don't
yesterday. I saw
Yeah.
that.
I don't take work home. My bosses know it. I tell them all the time. They know
That
this.
see that
don't.
is a healthy relationship with your job.
Work-life
But you also need to learn to organize yourself because then you're not taking work home, but you're not
Because-
organizing yourself. Things pile up. You're not meeting the needs of what you need to be doing. You can't get better at something if you're not working on it and keeping yourself organized. That is key to everything. Organizing yourself. I have 50,000 calendars. If you know me, you know me. I have like 20 calendars. I don't check all of them, but I have it everywhere.
I like hearing that they exist.
But
though.
do you listen to yourself? You learned how to build a healthy relationship within your work life and your personal life, where you organize yourself within that wiggle room you got going on there, and you don't take work home anymore, but you're still efficient at work and you're present at home.
Right.
That's beautiful.
And then going back to Dunny's point, like she still has young kids. Like when my kids were younger, I was still trying to figure out, like, even though it seems like we have it, or to ourselves, we seem like we have it figured out, motherhood and all of that. Like we don't. Like at the end of the day, it's still something new that we need to adjust to. And so I think that all plays a part without us, like subconsciously. It plays a really big part on learning self-care after being married, after having kids, growing up, being older, responsibility, career. So understanding that also self-care will change as you're changing is also being aware of that is important, I think. I think being aware that things are changing
Yes.
but also being like understanding what is your new self want?
Yeah.
What does your new self need?
Because you're always changing.
So one thing for me right now that's been really hard, right, is with self-care is accepting the body that I have now. If anyone that has known me for the past couple, before pre-kids, right, I was always skinny. I had a flat stomach. At some point I was too skinny. After kids, I'm having a really hard time dealing with the fact that I have the leftover stomach from the kids,
But
right?
can I say something?
Let me finish my thought before I forget it, and then you can say it.
You got a nice ass, though. You got a nice
Which,
ass.
yes, but it's really hard to have self-care when you're not feeling comfortable in the body that you're in. So I've been struggling. The other day, I posted a picture, and I was kind of trying to hide my stomach, and somebody messaged me and said, "Are you pregnant again?" Because I was holding my stomach.
Oh, that's fucked up.
And I was like,
those comments.
Wow.
right, which is, I get it, but to me, it's like I'm like, but you know what? I posted a picture anyways because it was a family picture that I wanted to share with.
It's not for nobody else.
Right, and you know what? I'm trying to accept the body that I'm in right now. Am I happy with it? Absolutely not. Am I doing anything about it? Absolutely not.
I was gonna say that. What you doing about it, girl? What you doing?
Why? Because I enjoy food way too much. And you know what? Food is what gives me happiness. Leave me alone. But no, I did try to do a detox for 30 days, and I was starving myself. And I was like, how do people
This
do
is not. That's
Nah,
not
that's
healthy.
not healthy.
Right. So I'm working to what Michelle said. My kids are young, so I'm navigating all of this new stuff and how I feel. So
I'm gonna say something really quick that Fernanda told me this, and I 100% with you. I don't feel comfortable with my body either. But when Lucas was like 6 months, and Fernanda has a 6-year-old or 6.
Nossa, 6.
And she said, Jackie, you just had a baby. And when I say this is going to linger for at least the next 3 years. Your body will start going back and you will start feeling like yourself. And your kids are going to eventually grow. And you know what? You're going to have the time to invest in yourself.
Right.
Right now, what your life consists of, what your kids need is you to be present. So if that doesn't really mean that you have the time to go to the gym or do a healthy diet, that's okay.
what my self-care is right now is spending time with people I love, enjoying traveling, enjoying doing other things that's taking my focus away from what I'm not happy with.
By
Right.
the way, you still look beautiful.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, you do look good.
Your ass
I
looks
just said that so you guys
phenomenal.
can keep
Complimenting you.
complimenting-
And-
You look so good.
Even
that
though
shirt
she-
on you.
She
love
doesn't
it.
have a skincare, but she has beautiful skin. So there's that.
Aquaphor,
Yeah,
guys.
and let's wrap it up because Michelle's like, wrap it up. But I do want to say that, yeah, it's just the awareness. It's not go change, go do something else, go practice self-care. It's be aware that these are things that could possibly be challenged. You can tell yourself, oh, well, right now I'm just going to hang out with people I love because that makes me feel good. Yeah, you can do that for as long as you want. But there could be a point where you're going to say, hey, I should probably try to be, but and eventually kids are young.
Yeah,
I know.
right.
I'm
I
here.
think I'm
a
just
s-
not ready yet.
I'm a six. I have.
What
a
are you?
6-year-old.
Okay, but we haven't. I know, like we have time, but what do you do for self care? We haven't gotten to you.
Ugh, I love guys. I mean, I'm with my daughter for the majority of the time, so I get some breaks from her. You know, now it's been a little better. I've been getting like once a week where I actually have I don't have to worry for about 6 hours. The best. I don't know. The summertime is better than the wintertime because then I can go to a park, I can go for a walk, I can stretch. I like to just be present. Honestly, I like like cleaning my room, like detoxing, like
Healthy.
Decluttering.
That's healthy.
journaling. I honestly love being by myself. My dad thinks it's weird. He like makes me feel bad about it. And I'm like, you like people? I don't. It's fine. Jesus. Gosta de muvuca. I'm like, go to the party.
Gosta de Muvuca, guys.
went- I
Gosta de Muvuca is people that like
Party.
partying.
People.
Yeah.
We went to, I took him, we went bike riding once. And he loves going to Seaside. Let's go to the beach. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we go to the beach every morning on like Sunday mornings. And I was like, can we do something different? Can we go to a trail? So I took this trail. And it's just trees and a trail and not a lot of people. He was like, oh my God, friends, this is so weird. Like, there's nobody here. And I'm like, isn't it
Like
nice?
paranoid.
It's so
Is-
quiet.
Is something gonna pop out of the woods and
He was
stab
like,
me?
he literally was like, oh my God, is this normal? Why are you like this? Which is not healthy, by the way. This is part of like,
Just shaming who you
I'm
are.
shaming who I am. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm allowed to be, at this point, I'm like, Dad, I'm allowed to be who I am. Just like you're allowed to be who you are. But anyways,
What's Jackie's self-care before we go?
I like sleeping.
That's
So
that's staying alive, sweetie.
if ever since I
Survival.
had Lucas, if it's a Sunday and Danny would be like, sleep in, I got it. So that's one of the things that like I love doing for myself because I wake up Sunday, I'm like, by 11 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I slept in a little bit. I'm good for the day. I've been taking care of my skin. I've always been
Yeah.
a makeup girl. I think I've always done self-care a lot.
Yeah, Jackie, I feel like does the.
My hair, like I've always like I make sure I use the right products. Like
You're very good at doing what's best for you,
yeah, yeah.
in whatever that means for you.
I think
but
now it's in a healthy way. Before I was very like self-centered
you
about
were
it.
like me first. Always, I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck about all y'all.
I like wearing nice shoes. I like buying sneakers. Like that's self-care to me. Like maybe not in a
not a
mental
healthy
way.
self-care, but yeah.
But yeah, and I make sure I put sunscreen. I saw this thing online. I don't know if you guys seen it. This person was like older already, like 70 years old or whatever, and she's only put sunscreen on her face for years and didn't do it on her neck. And so like her skin on her face was beautiful, and then her neck was. And I was like, you know what? As of like last month, I've been putting sunscreen all over my body every single
I'll be
day.
wrinkled from top to bottom because I don't. Put
I
sunscreen
I
on.
have
so-
to. I was thinking about how I have to.
I've
I'm
been
so bad at
I've
that.
been doing sunscreen every day for self-care. I wash my face and I throw my sunscreen on and I'm good to go.
Yeah. So self-care is so important to have a healthy relationship with yourself. It's part of having a healthy relationship with yourself. And having a healthy relationship with yourself can make you aware of other healthy relationship with others. So be mindful that healthy relationship are not always rainbows and butterflies with no arguments. And if it is, double check it, right? In order to grow healthy relationships, there will be disagreements because as I always say, if we were all the same, the world would be boring, right? And so not everyone has the same mindset. And so that's very important to recognize as well, is that if you're not disagreeing with someone, hold on. You're unless you're looking at the mirror and you're talking to yourself, there's something there. Like that means people are not being honest with each other. Right. They're just accepting who you are, and they're not allowing themselves to be themselves. And so it's not a safe space. It's not acceptable.
That's a perfect point. That's like a person that tries to be so healthy all the time and comprehensive and nice. That's unhealthy too.
People pleasing.
Yeah. So find a way to find a healthy balance, and healthy relationships are so hard. It's so hard to build.
And going back to one of the points about healthy relationship of what are the benefits of it? It's also really, really good for your well-being. Better Health Channel says that healthy relationships are proven to lower, it helps lower rates of anxiety and depression, higher self-esteem, greater empathy feeling, and more trusting and cooperative relationships. Strong, healthy relationships can also help to strengthen your immune system, help you recover from disease, and may even lengthen your life. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And
just like that.
And it's all in the brain.
Wow.
I believe that because oh my God, I'm talking about 2 books. I want to do 1 book per episode, but I read a book on Ikigai, which is basically like finding that middle ground between what you love, what you're passionate about, what fulfills you, whatever, this whole thing. And it talks a lot about like longevity. It's a Japanese methodology, I guess you can call it. And the biggest thing of living long is a community, is having people who you feel where you're not alone, you can depend on. They're there for you. It brings all these, it feels good to have people that you can be yourself with. That just feels so good. So definitely I can see how that could work. Like people were living up to like 113 years old, which is like, wow.
113?
Yeah, but like 113 and like can still dance. Because
healthy 113.
Your cells are
like they have like birthday
itself.
parties for these older. It's like a privilege, of course, to live that, and the community comes together on their birthday, and I mean that's just so beautiful.
Yeah, because our life expectancy nowadays, and that's something we should definitely talk about in another topic, is how unhealthy we are.
Oh yeah,
this new generation, and the reason why people lived longer back then was because
no, this is new. This is recent.
No, but I'm saying like the people that do. They eat healthy, they eat clean, they exercise. So, yeah, it's the self-care part of it.
Mm-hmm. And so one more thing about healthy relationship before we wrap it up is steps to building a healthy relationship. And so one of the things that popped up is you want to support one another, right? And so instead of always saying, oh, how are you? And just leaving it at that.
Right.
Yeah, great. Like you're checking in with me. But instead of saying that, if you're able to ask, what can I do to help you with today? Or how can I support you today?
How can I make you feel better?
Right.
Yeah.
Asking them, like, what do they need? Because that also shows, like, I'm here for you. Yeah, I'm checking in. Okay, great. But what is that really going to do for me?
That's a great point because people, oh, how are you? I'm good. Like, I'm not going to, like, that question to me is just like, I'm
not
good.
going to tell you that my life is a fucking disaster.
Unless you're like,
we're great. I'm losing it, but we're great.
Yeah.
The song, the TikTok song, the I'm Fine song, if F is for feeling all right. Did you guys not hear that?
I haven't
on
been
TikTok.
on TikTok
It basically says, I'm fine. If F is for feeling all right, I is for... Basically, it defines the person is losing it, but they're saying,
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Within that word, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you definitely...
So that's literally, I'm fine, because you're really not... We're just being superficial here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lead with kindness. Practice vulnerability.
Being vulnerable.
Yes. Love yourself. That's something we talked about. Say, I feel instead of you.
I statements, people.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Yes.
Not today.
Go ahead.
Guys,
Listen,
I get it.
Let's do it.
Yes. This happened 3 days ago where Dunny on the group chat for this podcast was talking. She was like, because you're this, and she just said you like 3 times in one sentence, and I'm like triggered because when someone communicates with the you, I don't know. I mean, start noticing if you guys are having conversations, it's triggering as heck. I had to like side message her and be like, girl, that was triggering as heck. I don't like, and then she explained to me, blah, blah, and she was like, I don't know how to not say you. This is so hard. And she did it.
Right, but it's because Fernanda reads a lot and like she's aware of what the you causes to the other person. To me, saying you is just basically communicating how I feel about the situation. And then what I reworded was, I am frustrated because I feel that I need. And then I took the you out. So
and
we're
changes
working on
everything.
it. Yeah. But instead of arguing about it and saying, I just reworded myself so that she can understand what I was trying to say.
But that is the beauty of building a healthy relationship. Right. You are passing on your knowledge on a non-aggressive way of where she can understand where she went wrong, and she could take a step back and be like, oh shit.
I was also setting a boundary. You know, can we not do that, please?
Yes.
And Danny was like, oh yeah, that's
and
cool.
That's healthy. That is the healthiest it gets.
The best part though was her, like, at the end, she was like, you don't want me to say you, but like, it's hard for me. It's the only way I know how to do it. But like, it was like at the end of her not using you for the whole like 2 minutes of explaining yourself. I was like, girl, what are you talking about?
It's also, listen, guys, I know that for who's listening, they're probably listening and saying, wow, like this is so much easier said than done. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Catch yourself in the moment. Be like, I need a, change. It's baby steps. You don't have to do it every single time you're in an argument or every single time. It doesn't necessarily have to be an argument. Sometimes you're going to offend people no matter what, and you're going to hurt feelings no matter what for being who you are and how you say things. Baby steps, just little by little. It doesn't have to be done from yesterday to today.
Yeah. I feel like, and this will be a subject for I've lately been feeling disassociated from a lot.
Me too.
And from people. And I'm trying to be present, but it's been really hard for me to be present because like I said, I'm feeling all of these things and I'm kind of throwing at any situation that happened. So
maybe it's because you're not processing these feelings because you are not giving yourself alone time to process them. Maybe.
And we can work on that, and we can listen.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it when we go into psychology.
Yeah, that's definitely something that
mental health and all of that.
Which for me, it's like a new thing because I was someone, I'm not depressed. I don't feel all these feelings, and now I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like. And trying to understand.
But that's growth. That's you acknowledging yourself and your self-awareness of.
But
what's going on with myself.
I do feel like I've been good at keeping healthy relationships now, where I'm cutting off anything that I feel
you've been
unhealthy.
better at not people pleasing,
right?
So
and I'm kind of cutting off anything that I feel unhealthy. So when I go to bed at night, I'm like, okay, this was a good day. I was surrounded by the healthy part of my life. And there's nights that I go to bed and I'm like, this was a fucking disaster, and I'm just gonna cry myself to sleep.
That's also
do want to shout out my husband real quick because the other day I was having a mental breakdown and I just was crying for 15 minutes straight, and I laid in a dark room, and he came in, he laid next to me, he hugged me, and he said it's gonna be okay.
Don't cry, you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, Ricky. We're gonna clip this part just for him.
Because what I'm trying to say is that like he didn't have to say anything.
Yeah,
he just hugged me and said it's gonna be okay, and that's all sometimes you need.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Healthy relationship.
We'll move on. But it's interesting that you said that. That's all he needed to say to you, because right now, a lot of this TikTok generation, you know what they're saying? They're saying that when people come up to you and they say, it's going to be okay, they're like, yeah, thanks for saving the day. I'm like, why do you have to be so unempathetic?
Right. But
sometimes that's all people need. Like
you know why? Because maybe he didn't know the right words to use. But in that moment, all I really needed was somebody to let me feel my emotions and let me feel it. Don't tell me I can't feel it. Hug me just like he did and say it's gonna be okay and let me cry it out, because that's all I needed. I just needed to cry the emotions out, and then at night, I go to bed and I'm like, okay, I feel better now because I let it out. And I don't have to explain to him why I feel that way. And
later you could talk about it.
Right, and we'll talk about it later when I feel like it's time to talk about it. But crying is okay because it's all of those emotions that you've been holding in.
And so remember, not everyone is aware of how to be healthy. Everyone is on a learning journey. Be empathetic to everyone. Everyone is different, and this is what keeps life fun and active.
And not boring.
Not boring. So part of creating healthy relationship is to allow growth to happen both to you and to others. With that being said, it is also accepting changes. Although changes can be hard, it is necessary. Embracing flaws and through hardships, giving yourself and the other person grace to get through the turmoils with empathy. Be proud of who you are. You are not
Yes.
alone. It's just complicated. And the only way to bring change is to bring awareness. Thank you for those who's voiced their opinions and their journeys on our social media. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on this episode. Feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at It's Just Complicated Podcast.
Listen to us on Spotify, Anchor. We have Amazon,
YouTube,
YouTube.
Google Play.
And we're working on Apple Music.
We're working on Apple.
And we're working on our intro music. We're working on our video. We're working on our brand.
We're working on ourselves.
We're working on our guests. We have an awesome guest list. I'm so excited about when we do start
Yeah,
bringing
but we're
guests.
trying to figure out when we're going to do that too. So stay
Baby
tuned.
steps, baby steps.
Stay tuned.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to today's episode. We really hope you guys, had a good take on this, and see you on the next one.